Kicked out an entitled pregnant acquaintance and her destructive child after they broke my TV at 3 a.m. Get ready for this one. It was late, around 3 a.m., and I was home alone playing video games. My parents were out of town visiting friends, so I had the place to myself. I was pretty relaxed when I heard a knock at the door, totally unexpected at that hour. I quickly got dressed and went to answer it. Standing there was an acquaintance with her young child. She was also visibly pregnant, which she would definitely try to use later. Me, hey, acquaintance's name, what's going on? Her, my car broke down and the tow company can't get to it until tomorrow. Can child's name and I crash here tonight? Me, yeah, sure, you can sleep in the living room. Come on in. I let them inside and offered them something to eat or drink. Me, want anything? Her, coffee, if it's not too much trouble? Me, no problem at all. I headed to the kitchen to make coffee. As I was doing that, I noticed the child picking up my game controller. Me, hey little guy, please put that down. Her, oh, can't he play a game? Me, no, I'm in the middle of something, and it's not a game he'd know how to play anyway. Her, but he really wants to, don't you, sweetie? Child, I want to play. Me, no, you can't play right now. Child, I want to play, I want to play, I want to play. Atai, screaming, and throws the controller at the TV, shattering the screen. Me, what the hell? I rushed over to my damaged TV. Her, hey, don't you swear at my child. Me, he just destroyed my TV. You just let him do that. Her, well, it's your fault for not letting him play the video game. Me, I said no. You need to teach your child that he doesn't get everything he demands. Her, how dare you? Just wait until I tell your mother how you treated him. You'll make a terrible mom. Me, I'm not planning on having kids, but if I did, they wouldn't be spoiled like him. Her, you're being the brat now. Just get a new TV and stop whining. Me, oh, I'll get a new TV. With the money you're going to pay me for the broken one. Her, what? But you're the one who provoked him. Me, you know what? Get out. You and your child are no longer welcome in my house. Her, what is wrong with you? I'm pregnant and have a toddler, and we have nowhere to go. You can't just kick out a stranded pregnant mother and her toddler at 3 a.m. in the cold. Me, oh yes I can, you insufferable woman. Get out of my house before I call the police. Her, picking up her child and heading towards the door. Just wait until I tell your mother about this. Me, yeah, I'll be happy to tell her exactly what your kid did to my TV and that you refuse to pay for it. Her, you'll regret this? She left. The next morning I called my parents and explained everything that had happened. They were completely understanding. They agreed that her behavior was unacceptable. My mom called the acquaintance and gave her an earful, telling her that if she didn't pay for the TV, we would take her to small claims court. She tried the whole, poor me, I'm a single pregnant mother routine, but it didn't work. She ended up paying the $500 for the new TV, and we cut off contact with her after that. Just for context, the reason they were even out at 3 a.m. in the first place was because the child had demanded McDonald's and refused to go to bed unless he got it. The I'm pregnant card failed and she actually paid for the TV. Love to see it. Make sure you like and subscribe for more justice. Entitled Mother Brings Kid to Work, Demands Full Pay, Gets Pranked by Colleague and Manager. Here's a story from when I was working at a company setting up a booth at a carnival. We had hired several part-timers to help out. Their job involved walking around the carnival grounds, handing out flyers, providing information, and directing people towards our booth. It required them to be mobile and focused. On the day of the event, after we finished setting up, I met with the part-timers to get them ready. Everyone was there except one, who we'll call the entitled mother, EM. She had said she'd be about 15 minutes late, but it ended up being closer to an hour. Since we couldn't wait, I briefed the others and sent them out to start work. When EM finally arrived, she had her young child with her, who looked to be about 5 or 6 years old. The nature of the job meant she absolutely couldn't have her child with her while she was working. EM knew this beforehand. EM, my husband couldn't handle kids' names, so I had to bring her along. Me, I can't have you working with your child here. EM, that's not my problem. If you don't like it, get someone to watch him. My colleague, who I'll call C, was nearby and overheard this. He wasn't needed for the main part of the day, only at the start and end, so he was free. C, I can watch her. I can get her some food, watch some shows, play some games, but you'll have to pay me for it. EM, whatever, but I'm not paying you for your time, only for kids' names, expenses. C, with a slight grin. Sure, that works. I was honestly stunned by EM's attitude, but C just told me not to worry. He had an idea. Once EM started her shift, C took her child on a systematic tour of the entire carnival. It was like the child's ultimate dream day. Whatever she wanted to eat, C bought it. They saw lots of the shows and won plenty of prizes, and C had a staff pass, which meant he didn't have to pay for the shows himself, but he paid for everything the child wanted or needed. Towards the end of the carnival, when we were logging the hours worked, EM had the audacity to demand full pay, even though she was nearly an hour late. She started ranting, giving various excuses, mostly blaming her child for why she wasn't on time. She went on about how I wouldn't understand because I don't have kids and how she deserved full pay because she was a mother. My manager, who was nearby, gave me a quick wink and stepped in. He said he was very pleased with the day's sales and how supportive we were as a team, adding that we should always do our best for kids. He told EM not to worry about the late start and that she would be paid for her full scheduled hours. Upon hearing this, EM didn't even say thank you. Instead, she loudly declared, "At least someone understands." She had this incredibly condescending and smug look on her face like she had won. Thankfully, that expression didn't last. The big reveal came when it was time to settle up. C had meticulously kept track of every single expense from his day with the child, receipts, ticket stubs, everything. He had also taken tons of photos of the child having the time of her life. The total cost for the child's carnival adventure came out to roughly $100. EM's pay for the day at $15 an hour for 8 hours was $120. When we presented her with the bill, her net pay for the entire day was $120 minus the $100 spent on her child, leaving her with a grand total of $20. EM threw an absolute fit, but with the mountain of evidence C had collected and her own daughter excitedly confirming all the fun she'd had and everything she got, EM had no grounds to argue. All she could do was yell, "I'm not paying for this," before grabbing her daughter and storming off. We all looked forward to payday when we would issue her a check for exactly $20 after deducting the amount her daughter spent during her wonderful day at the carnival. Entitled Mom Demands Bike Her Kid Stole from My Backyard, calls cops and gets herself arrested. Okay, here's a story about an entitled parent encounter. For context, I'm a single parent with a wonderful daughter who's almost 5. The past year has been a tough battle with my ex over custody, which meant a lot of legal fees. I finally won the case a couple of months ago, and my daughter's back home with me, which is amazing. But the lawyer bills hit hard financially. My daughter had been asking for a bicycle for weeks, but with my finances recovering, I just couldn't afford one yet. Then last week, I got my summer bonus, which gave me the boost I needed. So yesterday, I was finally able to buy her the bike she wanted so badly. We spent some lovely time together riding our bikes. As it got closer to dinner time, which I still needed to prepare, we headed back home and parked the bikes in the backyard. We went inside and I started making dinner. About 10 minutes later, I caught movement out of the corner of my eye through the kitchen window, which faces the side of the house. I saw a kid, probably around 6 or 7 years old, just casually walking away with the brand new bike I had just bought that day. My heart sank. I immediately ran to the front door, hoping to catch him before he rode off. Luckily, I did. I yanked the bike out of his hands and told him off, explaining that it was my bike, that he had no right to just walk into someone else's backyard and take things. I was furious. I made him get off my property and brought the bike inside, placing it in the front hallway. I thought that was the end of it. Oh, how wrong I was. After comforting my daughter, who had never seen me that upset, poor thing, I went back to the kitchen to continue making dinner. About 15 minutes later, the doorbell rang. It was the kid, and with him was his mother, who was clearly entitled. "EM, you need to give my boy that bike back. He found it. It's his now." Me, he found it in my backyard. I just bought it for my kid today. You should be teaching your kid not to trespass on other people's property and steal their belongings. M, don't tell me how to raise my child. Give me the bike back right now or I'm calling the police. Me, I actually laughed. Go ahead, call the police. And with that, I closed the door firmly in her face. By this point, my 4-year-old was crying, thinking she was gonna lose her brand new bike. I comforted her again until she stopped sobbing. I tried to get back to making dinner yet again. I had finished the preparations and was about to put everything on the stove when the doorbell rang again. I was completely fed up. I stormed to the door, ready to unleash my anger. But when I opened it, I saw it wasn't just the EM. She had actually called the police, and there were 2 officers standing there. I instantly calmed down, explained the situation to one of the officers, and invited him inside while the other officer stayed outside with the entitled woman. I showed the officer the box the bike came in and the receipt with my name on it. The officer looked at everything, shrugged, and apologized for the inconvenience. He assured me that I wouldn't be bothered again. I let him out and closed the door with a satisfied smile. I peeked out the front window to see what was happening, and I saw her throwing a full-blown tantrum right there. It ended with her being handcuffed and placed in the back of the patrol car. I have no idea what happened to her after that, and honestly, I don't care. I finally finished making dinner, and most importantly, my daughter still has her bike. That's all that matters to me. What a day it was. Calling the cops on yourself is peak entitlement. You love to see it backfire this spectacularly. Entitled kid assaults my daughter, learns she can defend herself. Entitled parents get a reality check. This is a story about my daughter and standing up for herself. A little background. I'm a veteran, and I strongly believe in teaching the women and girls in my life how to defend themselves effectively. Because of this, I started teaching my daughter self-defense from a young age. One day, I was at work when I received a call from my daughter's school. I stepped outside to take it. Characters: me, principal. Principal: hello, my name. I need you to come pick up your daughter. Me: can I ask what this is about? Principal: yes, your child has been in a physical altercation and needs to leave the school premises. Me: what do you mean she's been in a fight? What happened? She wouldn't just start a fight. Principal: well, from what we can gather, an entitled student was running up behind her and grabbing her inappropriately. She apparently warned him to stop, and when he didn't, she physically responded and he was incapacitated. Me: so I'm confused. What is happening to the boy then? Principal: well, your daughter appears to be the aggressor in this situation, and we require her to leave. She's also going to be suspended. At the time, my daughter was living with my ex-wife, and I had heard from my ex that my daughter had been having ongoing issues with this particular boy. I knew my daughter had reported his behavior multiple times without resolution. I also knew that teachers had told him to stop on several occasions, yet he continued. Me: wait a minute, so nothing is going to happen to the boy who has been repeatedly assaulting my daughter for a significant amount of time? Principal: well, mister, my name. She did strike him, causing incapacitation. She needs to understand that physical violence is not the answer. She should have brought it to the attention of a teacher. Me: okay, so what I'm understanding is that your school's position is that it's acceptable for a girl to be assaulted and that the girl in question should simply endure being a victim repeatedly or face punishment for defending herself. Is that the gist of it? There was a moment of silence as the principal processed what I had said. I could tell they were struggling to justify their weak reasoning. I composed myself. Me: so here is how this is going to proceed. You will either apply consequences to both students or you will apply consequences to neither, because I assure you the last thing you want is me, along with news reporters, showing up here and exposing this entire situation. I can understand that her physical response to this boy might be seen as unacceptable by school policy. But what I absolutely will not tolerate, and neither will she, is him not facing consequences as well. Do I make myself clear? Principal: silence. Me: also, why are you calling me and not her mother? Principal: well, my name. Hike, she told us to call you. Me: you listen to me and listen very carefully. I promise you I will not stand for this. I demand a meeting with you, her teacher, and this boy's family. If I cannot attend, my ex-wife will. If this matter is not resolved to my satisfaction, I will cause significant problems for this entire institution you've built. Do you understand me? Principal: yes, sir. Me: good. Call my ex-wife. Let her know the time and date for the meeting. We will coordinate from there. I ended the call and contacted my ex-wife. She completely agreed with my stance, and I returned to work. About a week later, the meeting took place. Unfortunately, I had a work obligation, so my ex-wife attended on my behalf. From what she told me, the boy's family tried to dismiss his actions as just boys being boys, and even attempted to get my daughter expelled. There are times when I'm reminded why I married my ex, and this was definitely one of them. She proceeded to inform them that the absolute last thing any of them wanted was for me to get even more involved than I already was, and that if necessary, I would make sure everything came crashing down. The outcome was that both students received a 4-day suspension, and the boy was moved to a different class. I never received a call like that from the school again. The important part of the story is that my daughter is a brave individual who stood up for herself, and she received a reward for doing what I believe was the right thing. She got a treat and lots of love from both me and her mother. When schools fail, parents step up. What's your take on schools suspending victims for fighting back? Tell me in the comments. Entitled Mother Demands My Drink for Her Child Gets Angry When My Warning About Alcohol Proves True. Okay, so for a little background, last weekend was Liberation Day in the Netherlands, a big deal with festivals happening in many cities. Most of these festivals have free entry, so they often prohibit outside food and drinks to boost sales inside. A friend of mine lives near where the festival was, so my usual plan is to drop off any alcohol at his place and grab it later. Walking around with a bottle of straight liquor isn't ideal, so I mixed some whiskey into a 1-liter bottle of Coca-Cola Vanilla. I added just enough Coke so it looked like regular soda and headed into the festival grounds. Just a note on abbreviations. JD refers to my good friend Jack Daniels. We've shared many moments. As I was walking through the crowd with my bottle of Coke, I felt a tap on my shoulder. Festival etiquette is usually just to step aside and let someone pass, but then I felt a hand grab my shoulder trying to pull me back. I turned around and was face to face with a woman who fit the classic entitled parent stereotype. EM, where did you get that? She pointed at the bottle. Me, I brought it from home. EM, can my kid have some? Not wanting to announce to everyone that I had alcohol on me, I tried to redirect her. Me, they sell Coke right over there. You can buy your kid a fresh cold one. They don't sell vanilla Coke there and he doesn't like the regular kind, he wants yours. She held out her hand expectantly. Me, if he doesn't like the regular one, I'm pretty sure he won't like this any better. Meanwhile, her child had started whining loudly about being thirsty and demanding, I want that one. The EM stared at me with a demanding look. Me, look lady, I'm gonna be honest with you. Half of this bottle is whiskey, and I really don't think it's a good idea to give that to a child. You're lying. You just made that up so you wouldn't have to share with my baby. Now give it to me. While I sort of shrugged and tried to turn away to blend back into the crowd, the child suddenly grabbed the bottle with both hands, wrenched it from my grasp, and took off running with his mom following. I went after them and found them just in time to see the child take a couple of large gulps from the bottle. Almost immediately, he started throwing up violently. Seeing the situation unfold, I decided that trying to retrieve the now vomit-covered bottle of whiskey and Coke wasn't the best plan. I chose to head over to my friend's place to mix myself a new drink. As I walked past the entitled mother and her sick child, I threw her a quick "told you so" and made my way into the crowd. Within seconds, the EM charged at me and tried to hit me, yelling, "You poisoned my baby, security!" Bystanders quickly separated us. A nearby stall holder got the attention of festival security. A security guard arrived and questioned both me and the EM. EM, he gave my baby this bottle of poison and told him it was just Coke. I want him arrested. Security, sir, what is in this bottle? Me, it's a pre-mixed whiskey and Coke with a fairly generous amount of whiskey. Security, and why did you give that to a child? Me, I didn't, sir. I was planning on drinking it myself, honestly. They thought it was just Coke. They wouldn't believe me when I told them it had alcohol in it, and the child snatched the bottle from me. What you saw was the result of the child drinking it before I could stop him. At this point, a bystander spoke up and confirmed that they saw the child snatch the bottle from my hand. Although they hadn't heard our conversation, security told the mother not to cause trouble like that again, and instructed her to take her still crying child to the first aid station. They then told me to be more careful with the next batch I was inevitably about to make. That "told you so" must have tasted sweeter than vanilla Coke. Entitlement backfiring is the best. Like and subscribe for more, and let me know your favorite story.